Well, you know those little extra charges that you get stung if you pay for something with Tap and Go? Well, the federal government has its eye on them, dishing out $2 million today to the ACCC to crack down on consumer fees. Joining us live now from central Queensland this morning, where early voting is underway for the Queensland election, the National Senator Matt Canavan joins us from Serena. Matt, good to see you. I'll get your thoughts on the Queensland campaign shortly, but first are those consumer fees that the government is targeting. What do you make of them?
Well, I fully support looking at this. Obviously, we need action rather than just talk. But it does seem a cosy relationship at the moment among the banks and how they are slugging a lot of small businesses, but ultimately those small businesses have to pass it on to you. We probably don't have the level of competition we'd like among our banking sector, so you do wonder whether these fees are really set at the costs of providing services. Now, I don't really want to see governments have to regulate these types of things. You'd want to have a functioning market that could deliver good outcomes for consumers. But as I say, I'm not so sure our competition in banking is ideal for the ultimate customer. So I fully support this. They seem a little high, seem a bit excessive, and the banks seem to be making hay here on the back of small businesses. Yeah,
well, on that point, I mean, are they taking the mickey, Matt?
Well, I think what I really would like it to look at is there's a lot of alternative ways of paying now, like Google Pay, Apple Pay, I mean, even cryptocurrency one day. I mean, there's lots of other ways of doing this. Do we really need our banks to play that costly middleman role like they did traditionally? I still don't understand, Peter, why we can't clear funds immediately among our banks. You know, you transfer money to another person, it can still take 24 hours for that cash to arrive in their account. Where does that money go? That money, while it's in the ether, is being used by our banks and invested, and they make money off that. So they haven't rushed to deliver these solutions to consumers, which would save money, but by saving money probably would reduce their profits, and that's probably why it hasn't happened.
Okay, let's get to the Queensland election campaign. Yesterday, the Premier, Stephen Miles, he made a pivot to nuclear of sorts. He's promised a plebiscite on nuclear energy if he and Peter Dutton were both to win the next election. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think he's probably that serious, but look, I'd welcome that. I'd love it to be put to the people. Why doesn't Anthony Albanese do it? Why don't we? Well, I think it's an idea that the Prime Minister should take up. Let's face it, there's probably only a slim chance that Stephen Miles will be there in a few weeks to live up to that promise. But Anthony Albanese has a chance here. Why doesn't he say at the next federal election, we'll put that on the ballot? I'd welcome that. Let the Australian people decide, because I'm sick and tired of our energy system being designed by people who have failed. And have failed to deliver the lower prices they promised us in our system.
Are you disappointed David Crisafulli hasn't made a move on this, though?
Well, look, I understand. I mean, David Crisafulli has one aim right now, and that's to change the government of Queensland. And we definitely need that change. I was here in Serena yesterday on the booth, and people are a bit fed up at the lack of leadership in this state. And so I understand why he's singularly focused on that. The federal coalition we've taken, what is a brave and courageous move here to back nuclear power. I think we're taking the people along with us. And as I say, I'm not at all afraid of putting that question to the Australian people. They should be the ultimate arbiters of decisions like this.
Just a final one here on Stephen Miles. I mean, David Littleproud, your colleague there, he called it a closing down sale yesterday when I was talking to him about it, this cash splash that's going on by the Queensland Premier. I mean, if he wins, he's going to have to pay for it all and live up to these promises while Queensland's debt balloons.
Yeah, I think David summed that up well. I mean, the only thing Stephen Miles hasn't offered us yet is a set of steak knives. You know, he's being very much more a shonky salesman than a statesman in the last few months. I think people can see through that. As I say, there's people who think there's time's up for this Labor government. They've run out of ideas. The only idea they've got left is spending your money.
We'll leave it there, Matt Canavan. I'll see you on the road next week.